little tribute to a girl called Stacy Brooks. Well, she was Stacy Young, mostly known as the wife of Vaughan Young. And then Vaughan Young died, and then she married Bob Minton, and Bob Minton died. So she's back to her maiden name, Stacy Brooks. Stacy was an intern supervisor at AOLA when I first met her. She was loved, and she was a dedicated, like all of us. We were gullible. We really swallowed that this was a good, ethical entity. Mind you, there's a constant chant within of their high ethics. It's laughable. They consider themselves the more noble strata of planet Earth. So Stacy was promoted to this very high echelon. When you're working personally for Hubbard, you're above everything. So she's working in author services, and in author services, she's with David Miscavige several hours a day, and she watches his increasing violence.
At 4 in the morning, one night, Vaughn and I were asleep, and there was a knock on the door, and 2 security guards were there, and they took me away into the prison camp.
Stacy Young says she was assigned to the RPF for disobeying an order to interrogate a fellow staff member. For part of the time, Young says she was in a room on the 7th floor of the Los Angeles church. Her husband admits he stood by and did nothing to try to get her out.
You're being challenged that, what are you? Are you disloyal? Do you love your wife more than freedom for the planet? You're going to let people suffer? All this crap is dumped on you. And what are you supposed to say?
I didn't see Vaughn for several months. I didn't hear from him. I didn't have any correspondence with him whatsoever. He did nothing to try and rescue me.
He's slamming people against walls. He's screaming, he's spitting on people. He was spitting on this guy called Homer Shoma, who was the treasury person there. He was slamming the executive director of Author Services, Terry Gamboa, at the wall. He cannot restrain his violence. He cannot. He slammed his own PC, his own person he was giving counseling to at St. Hill. But he continues that urge to use superior force with violence. Stacy watches all this, and I don't know exactly how it went down, but I was already working at OSA as Heber's assistant, and Stacy and Vaughn, her husband at the time, were in the rehabilitation project force. Stacy must have done more than one rehabilitation project force, because I was also in this North Korean mind control camp, and I was in with Stacy. But people are often sent back. You rotate, you come out, you work, and you go back. So Stacy was in the Los Angeles RPF, and I was too at one point. And then Stacy fled. Now is when the story starts getting hotter. Stacy not only fled, she was willing to be an expert witness. She was willing to speak out.
This is a dream come true for Scientology.
Stacy Young would know. She was a member of the church for 15 years, including its elite C organization. She also worked in the Office of Special Affairs and was managing editor of its Freedom magazine. She left in 1989 and has been a paid consultant in lawsuits against Scientology.
The Cult Awareness Network was the only organization in the country where parents could call and say, you know, I've lost my child into this cult, what do I do?
The Church of Scientology doesn't really like what we're doing, but we get calls every single day from people all over the country whose lives have been destroyed or harmed in some way by Scientology. So although Scientology itself presents a very benevolent, helpful image of itself to the public, the stories that we hear from people calling us about what has happened to them as a result of either their own personal experience in Scientology or a family member's experience in Scientology is very, very different from that benevolent image that Scientology tries to portray.
Okay.
In Scientology, if you have any critical thoughts about Scientology particularly, and about L. Ron Hubbard particularly, or management, it means without any question that you have done something wrong for which you are now trying to justify yourself by saying that these other people have done something, or that basically this is why you're being critical.
Yeah.
There's a particular part of the Church of Scientology which is called the Office of Special Affairs, and they are the department of the organization that carry out the kinds of dirty tricks that we're concerned about, harassment and harassive litigation, this kind of thing, which you may have heard something about.
And the mad dog attack of the church went full bore. Stacy was a harmonic of Paulette Cooper. No one is read Tony's book. If you want to see how deadly the church can be, with what venom and with what criminality, this is criminal. These things are criminal. These are not just little bit bad deeds. These are overwhelming, pushing the line, ambushing, getting like Paulette is set up with her, get her thumbprint and use it in a fake way to get the FBI to arrest her for bomb. This is criminal. Stacy was living with Vaughn near the Seattle Northwest area. And she had a rescue. That's close to my heart. She had a rescue of dogs and cats. And she would take them in and try and find a home. And the church's vengeance on her, one of the things they did is they sent every single neighbor of hers got a leaflet saying she had cats that were badly infected with feline AIDS, and the whole neighborhood was in danger because of the animals. All her neighbors were given poison pen letters against her. Then they went higher. They went to animal control and said, these animals she had were infected. They did that with me. They went to animal control on me that I was torturing my animals. So this was an old ploy. What they did on Stacy, 15, 20 years later, they did.